What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Nickel City Rush Hour. Yeah, we're little bit late tonight. I know it says 9 p.m. Eastern time, but you know what? We had to let that last game finish. It was such a good game, and I feel heartbroken, Jake. I feel heartbroken for Detroit fans. I was kind of pulling for them, as we talked about on our last show. They're like one of the only teams to not have won a Super Bowl. They haven't even been to a Super Bowl, so that would have been their first time. And then our friends, the Ravens fans, and my son, who's a Ravens fan, Heartbreak City there this morning. But let's start with this game because it's fresh on everyone's minds. Let me share the stats and we can go through what we saw today. But Jake, I don't know about you, man, but Mr. Dan Campbell is going to be on the hot seat, my friend.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I don't think you could put them on a hot seat too much, though, Mike. Remember, it's their first NFC Championship appearance since 1991. He's put them in a position to succeed. I think they're set up for the future pretty well, and it is heartbreaking. I can't even imagine. Well, we can't imagine what Detroit is going through.
Hold on one sec, Jake. Chad Phil out there,
Yeah,
big Chiefs fan, and Chad. You know it's interesting. I thought Jake was going to call the upset because he actually told the guys that Detroit was going to win this one, and we're going to talk about that right now. But congrats to your Chiefs fan,
hell
to
yeah.
your Chiefs team. My goodness, they are something special. I did call that one, Jake. I did say, everyone's been talking about how rough of a season it's been. They're vulnerable, but they get into the playoffs, they turn it around, and here we are. Chiefs back in the Super Bowl one more time.
It's crazy. Chad called us out a little bit in the comments there saying, we didn't really give a whole lot of love to his Chiefs in our one of our last shows that we did, just talking about these championship games. And listen, maybe we overlooked them a little bit, but I got to say this, man, your team, they do their best work when the lights are shining the brightest. It's unbelievable. And it's got to be respected. I know people are probably annoyed about the overexposure with Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. You can name a million different things, right? The most valuable bundler, all that crap. But set that all aside. When it comes to football and what the Kansas City Chiefs have done, it's absolutely incredible. And that needs to be at least just at least shown. Like they have to get props for that. It's absolutely amazing, man. It really is.
100%. It's like the Patriots handed them the torch, and now they're carrying the torch. And
Yeah.
they're not even in our division, and they're just no matter what division you're in, if you don't get past the Chiefs, you're not getting to the Super Bowl. So we're going to touch on that game in a little bit, Chad. We wanted to start with the game that just ended here because it was also a good one. Um, you know, Jake, they were dominating. The Lions were
Yep.
dominating early in this game, having their way. I felt like they even moved the ball in the second half, but they had a fumble and then they had those two missed fourth down conversions. And I know you were saying, don't be too harsh on Dan Campbell, but my goodness, there's one thing to go on it in, regulation. I know we all like to, it's easy to say it after the fact. If he converts those, we're celebrating him for being so gutsy. But I feel like you got to take one of those. Like those are 6 points he left on the field because both of them were makeable field goals when he went for it. And of course, the big fumble that hurt them as well. But what happened, Jake? I mean, this team, the Lions had it. They were in control. I know Purdy and the team got the ball in the second half to start, and I think they scored on almost every drive,
Yep.
pretty much in the second half. But what happened? What changed?
Well, momentum is huge. First off, I also think going to those fourth down decisions, like you take the points in at least one of those scenarios. I love him being ballsy and going for it and just saying, "Listen, I'm going to live and die by the sword," and that's that. So I respect the hell out of Dan Campbell for that. It's gutsy as hell. But when your team has not scored a single point in the entire second half, you got to take the points when you're able to at least tie the game up, I feel like. But you know what? Again, I still don't hate the decision because he wants to basically put a dagger in this 49ers team. They had momentum, so he wanted to stop that momentum. Had they converted that fourth down, they'd probably go down and score a touchdown on that possession. And we might be talking about a different result here. So I understand his reasoning for it. Dan Campbell has been known to be a roll the dice type of guy. I've been seeing memes already. Someone just sent a meme. Was it Rick? he's the type of guy that hits on an 18 at the blackjack table, which is hilarious, by the way. But you know what? Listen, the Lions, they fought hard. They played really, really well that first half. The second half, it got away from them. The 49ers proved why they are the number one seed, unfortunately, because I think a lot of people were Lions fans today. But what Dan Campbell has done, you got to recognize how he's just totally changed the landscape of that organization. They went from a 3-13 team, a laughingstock team, to now 12-5 in the NFC Championship in 3 years. So, I mean, a lot to hold your hat on there. Very impressed with what they did this season. They have some really good young talent. How about Jamison Williams, by the way, Mike? Man, that dude, he's unreal. But let's shine some light, too, on these 49ers, man. Brock Purdy, resilient. It wasn't pretty at times, but he made plays when he needed to. Christian McCaffrey did his thing. In my opinion, Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP. I'm happy for him that he gets a chance at his first ever Super Bowl. George Kittle, I think the best blocking, receiving tight end combination in the NFL. The guy is incredible. And the statistics weren't there today, but the things that he did within the run game, making the catches when he needed to, again, just shows how great of a player he is. So I like the makeup of that 49ers team. Their defense hasn't been playing as well as they did early on in the season, but I do feel like they have enough to get it done in the Super Bowl. We'll talk more about that, but hats off to them. It was an incredible game. And here we are, Niners Chiefs, man.
I'm just, I'm putting my hat on. I'm putting my Bills hat on. And let's just say this was the Bills, and that was McDermott going for those 2 4th downs. And everyone's always like, they always get on him for not taking a risk. But in this situation, Jake, not only did you change momentum, those were huge momentum changers. Get points on the board. This is the Super Bowl. And yeah, he's done a fantastic job, but we know how hard it is to even get to on their side, an NFC championship game, let alone get to the Super Bowl. And they had it. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, if I'm a Lion fan right now, I'm personally not happy with the decisions that Campbell made. I know you're like, you gave him some flowers for going for it, but man, you got to take some points. Keep the pressure on. Don't give the other team momentum. But yeah, kudos to the Niners. Look, I have a lot of friends that are Niners fans. Being out here in Southern California now, you find a lot of those, and so good for them. I'm going to go. Actually, I don't have to go in the office this week, but when I see them next, they're going to be super happy. But I thought Purdy, oh my goodness, his running ability late in that game, Jake, kid's got some wheels and some guts. So hats off to Purdy. He did it last week as well. He wasn't looking great in that game. Was able to march down when it counted and take the lead. And eventually, the team won the game after that. So again, good numbers for him: 20 of 31, 267. He had 1 interception. Again, the Lions were cooking on all levels until the second half. So let's just look at some numbers here. As you saw, you already mentioned most of the numbers here. McCaffrey, again, MVP candidate. You think he should be, you look at his numbers there, 2 touchdowns once again, and 4 receptions for 42. McCaffrey is that guy for sure. Sam Laporta had a nice, beautiful day. Sam Laporta, how about that? Rookie tight end for the Lions this year, just killing it. 9 of 97. I know he's been playing a little injured, but it's so good to see him doing what he was doing. And Goff was going to him often, like 9 of 97. And this wasn't just this game, all year round. Sam Laporta was stepping up. He did not look like a rookie at all.
No, not at all. Pro Bowler his rookie year. I mean, the guy is reliable as they come, catches basically everything you throw to him. I know he had a tough drop in this game today, but man, he is so damn good. He's got a very bright future. If he can stay healthy, man, he's going to be a problem for opposing teams for many years to come. So I love what the Lions have here. I mean, they have a very good tight end. They have a good young receiving core. They got 2 really good running backs, and even factor in Craig Reynolds. He's done a hell of a job too for them. Their defense is good. They got a lot of young upcoming stars on this team. So again, it's so easy to just be sick to your stomach right now as a Lions fan, but I think when you finally have this week pass, right? I don't know how long it's going to take to get over it. As a Bills fan, I totally understand your pain. Yeah. It's brutal. you know? And I think also with it being the first time that you've actually been in this situation in 30 some odd years, it makes it a little bit more tough. It's more of a kick in the gut. So, gosh, I feel bad for Lions fans right now. It's a tough feeling, man. But listen, if you can hold your hat on anything, they have a nice, and a team that's going to stay in the mix for a while, I think.
Yeah, they have one of my favorite players was Jack Campbell, who was also a rookie this year. And did you see how big that guy looks out there, Jake?
Yeah, he's
Big
huge. Yeah.
physical dude. He's a guy I wanted us to look at. You said, have they been to an NFC championship game before?
Yeah, 1991 was their last appearance. Yep. And that was the Barry Sanders days, Mike. I think Rodney Peete was their quarterback at the time.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're talking. I wasn't even born. I was born in 93.
You remember who they
Mike.
played?
I think it was it the Niners the last time? Or no, it had to have been 91. So whoever they played, it was against the Bills would have played them in the Super Bowl. So was it the Cowboys? Not the Cowboys.
Either the Giants or the Redskins.
The Redskins.
Okay.
The Redskins. Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. Just a heartbreaker there. And again, yeah, like you said, Lions fans, keep your head high. They have a great young team. I just don't know. I'm questioning those calls. We'll see. I want to say hi to some folks. Shake Money out there. What's good, everybody? And let's see. Lions have a great young team. They have a nice window to win a ring. And Jake, you called it. I mean, was it Timmy that was calling Goff just a game manager? Yeah. He's not a game manager, man. I thought he played great. He had a couple drops there. Somebody had a couple drops. I think it was Reynolds towards the end of that game on some of those drives as well. I thought he played fantastic and not a game manager. Not at all.
I like Jared Goff. I think he's maybe inching his way into that top 10 quarterback conversation in the NFL currently. He's definitely within the top 12 without a doubt, so he's a playoff quarterback. The guy, I think he controls the game very well. And that's not saying he's a game manager. I think he is very poised out there. He makes big throws at times. Today, there were two that he could have maybe connected on, and obviously it just didn't go his way. There was some pressure, though, too. And again, I think Steve Wilkes did a really nice job of making adjustments in the second half for the Niners D. So they did a tremendous job.
Definitely. Thank you, Shake Money. Hit that like button.
Yeah, appreciate
we always
it,
forget to say that. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and drop a nickel on that subscribe button. Appreciate it. And Chad, you were right. It was the Redskins. We eventually got there.
Yeah. Mark Rippon, man. Remember him, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Big guy.
Yeah.
Big quarterback.
Wheels up to Tulsa. Hey, safe travels, Chad. We hope you get there in one piece, obviously. And hopefully talk to you soon, man. Thank you so much again for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. We're just about to get into your game. So
and congrats. Yes, congrats to you, sir. You should be celebrating.
All right. Well, let's pivot over to the other game that happened this morning here. And again, heartbreak in my house. Heartbreak has been in my house all, week. I mean, first it was the Bills losing, and then it was, my son is an 11-year-old Ravens fan, and I support him. And it is heartbreaking for me as a dad. I'm sitting there on the couch with him, giving him the support that he gives me as a Bills fan, and just seeing this game break his heart. And he's in tears. And I can remember back being 11 years old. I'm like, oh my God, that's me at 11 years old. And you're trying to comfort him. And it was just heartbreaking. So he's so passionate about his team. He supports me. And afterwards, it always helps to take him out. I say, where do you want to go? What kind of snacks do you want to get? He picked McDonald's. I said, get whatever you want. And
nice.
Made him a little happier. But heartbreak here, Jake. What a game. We had just had a podcast with Wednesday night with some of our Ravens friends that are on the Nickel City Mafia, Rick and Chris. And we said, all of us, there was 5 of us on that pod, including Tony, Chris, let's see, me, you, Chris. Oh, and we had Timmy as well. And I think everyone to a T. Timmy had left after we talked about the McDermott stuff, so he wasn't there for the discussions on Championship Sunday. But on paper, like I said, the Ravens were the most complete team, dominant all year. And here comes the Chiefs, man, and they just get it done. and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, something special, man, something special. They just took the torch from, like I said earlier, they took the torch from the Patriots, and here they are, 6 straight AFC championship games. They're going to their 4th Super Bowl. They've won 2 out of 3. And here we go. We got a rematch from a few years back. But Jake, man, how do they do it? How do they do it? It's incredible.
Yeah, when the lights are the brightest, they shine the most. It's really amazing. They make plays, they execute when they need to execute. And I think one thing that we all can say, especially with this year's playoffs, I feel like the margin of error has gotten significantly lower as the years go on in the NFL here. It is so damn close, this league, and you're one play away from the game flip-flopping potentially, right? And that wasn't really the case so much in this game, but maybe it was, because you talk about the Zay Flowers play where he fumbles in the end zone, and that could have been the momentum swinger that the Ravens needed. They didn't have much offense at all going into that play. Zay Flowers was their entire offense the entire second half, and really a little bit in the first half. So, yeah, it's amazing what the Chiefs have done. Credit to Steve Spagnuolo, too. My gosh, he called a fantastic game defensively. Just sat in cover 2, didn't do anything crazy, didn't blitz. Basically dared Lamar to be Lamar and to be a hero and have to make plays. And he tried throwing the ball deep, couldn't get anywhere there. I even think limited him really in the ground game. He could have definitely done more, I felt like. Excuse me. But, yeah, they did an amazing job. We talked about this Chiefs defense, like how good they really are. And they've shown it the last 2 weeks, like especially with making adjustments. Steve Spagnuolo have been very well known for making incredible adjustments in game, and he did it again this game. He really didn't have to make many adjustments this game. He kind of just did the same damn thing. They scored 1 touchdown, and that was in the first quarter, and then they were basically null up until the fourth quarter with a field goal. Crazy.
Yeah, Baltimore, I mean, figured out the Chiefs in the second half. Obviously, they shut them out in the second half. And you touched on it. I mean, I felt almost like I was watching the Bills during the season, where Zay Flowers, young rookie this year, fantastic player. I'm heartbroken for that little kid. Hold on, I'm going to cough too.
It's getting us all choked up, literally.
Hold on. So anyhow, he fumbles. Lamar throws an interception in the end zone. They did everything to hand the game over to the Chiefs, but the Chiefs just played stout defense. I'm going to throw it over to you because I got to take a drink. I'm coughing for some reason.
All good. I started it. This is on me 100%. By the way, see NFL playoffs there in the chat. You're saying go Chiefs, and you got your Josh Allen picture there, NFL playoffs. I don't know what to think here. Are you a Chiefs fan? Are you a Bills fan? What's going on here? We've seen you in the chat before. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, talking about this game again. You talk about the physicality going into this game too. I thought the Chiefs out-physicaled the Ravens. Now, the Ravens made some very boneheaded decisions, and they got flagged for penalties. I think it was 4 unnecessary roughness calls on them just after the play, 15-yard penalties that absolutely killed them in this game. And, that compiled with other flags. It was tough. And a lot of people could say, oh, it's rigged, and, they're throwing flags in the Chiefs' favor. But honestly, even with how the Ravens played, I don't know how it would have even made it any better for them had there not been those flags. Like it was just pure domination by the Chiefs right from the get-go. I felt like they had the playbook and they did everything right to win this game. So now they're going to their 4th Super Bowl in the last 5 years, and it hurts because we're here sitting as Bills fans thinking like, man, I felt like this year, even with all the injuries, I feel like we had the team to beat both of these squads. And again, we're eliminated in the divisional round, so it hurts a little bit more. But again, hats off to the Chiefs, man. They find ways to get it done. They can win the close ones, and now they're hot. They're on a 3-game winning streak here in the playoffs, and man, they are looking good heading into the Super Bowl. It's almost like, how are they going to lose? You think to yourself, are they going to lose again? It's pretty impressive.
Take a look at Travis Kelce's numbers.
Oh,
he shows up 11 targets, 11 catches, and he made some fantastic plays.
Yeah, he did. You talk
Incredible.
about extending the play with Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Tremendous job by him. But then Travis Kelce having the knowledge and to know the chemistry, I guess, just to know where Pat Mahomes is going to put it, goes and makes a diving catch on 4th down too. Like so many great plays by him today. He was unbelievable. Unbelievable. They couldn't stop him.
Yeah, and they were chippy all night, man. He was getting into it. He was getting into it with a few of the Ravens defensive players.
Yep.
But I mean,
yes, he was.
We're seeing, we saw Brady, and we're going to be able to tell our grandchildren we saw Brady, we saw Mahomes, and again, this is something special for them. I mean, he's got a legitimate shot to catch Brady. I never thought anyone would have a shot, but here he is.
Yeah.
And it's 6 straight years since he's been a starter, and getting to the championship game. And here he is now going into his 4th Super Bowl. He gets this one. He's got 3. Tom got 7. I mean, this is incredible. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, if we don't want to see Taylor Swift, can someone please guard Kelsey? That's the only reason why we're seeing Taylor Swift. I mean, last week against Buffalo, he has 2 touchdowns. He's wide open on a play, and he was wide open today on one of the plays. But he made a diving catch. I mean, him and Mahomes, they're in such sync that whenever there's a big play that's needed, how nice is it, Jake, to just be able to rely on that guy? Mahomes and him, like, it's us, buddy. It's us, big guy. Let's go. Let's get this done. And then Mahomes just wills his way for the victory. But Rashee Rice, and then look at Scantling. Scantling he made a couple big games, big plays against us. And here he is. The guy had dropped a winning touchdown. Has had a lot of drops this year, but had a winning touchdown. I think it was on a Sunday night or Monday night game.
Yep.
That cost him the game. And here he is with that. That was gutsy. I thought that was very gutsy. And, he was falling backwards. I'm like, oh no, is he going to drop it again? Because that wasn't an easy catch. But at the end of that game, but
yeah,
Scaldez showed up. But Checo, I mean, gotta love that kid, right?
I mean, the stats right now, you're looking at 2.8 yards a carry, but he ran hard, man, and he is such a weapon for them. And he's banged up coming into this game. They were worried about his explosiveness and whether he could actually suit up and play. And 24 carries. I mean, he had a workload. He also caught 4 passes too. Like, it's a lot of touches for a kid that's banged up. You look at the running backs here that were in this game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the only other running back with a carry today. Crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like you said, Zay had a great game. And that's got to be hard to get over, man. You saw him slam his hand on the bench. He cut his hand. Poor kid, man. Poor kid. He's got to hang his head high. He had a fantastic year, and he's a game changer. So, I thought they underutilized the tight ends. They only targeted likely 3 times with 2 catches, and Andrews, which was fantastic to see him back. They kind of took the tight ends out of the game.
Yeah, they did. And honestly, I was. I thought they would definitely scheme him up a little bit more. And I think Todd Monken, I don't know if he fell asleep at the wheel or what, but the entire second half, they didn't run the football once, Mike. Their bread and butter. Stuff that actually was somewhat effective in the first half for them, they just totally went away from. So I did not understand that one bit. You talk about the physicality in this game, like that is the Ravens' identity. They're black and blue, man. They go out there, they want to smack you in the mouth and run the football. They didn't do any of that in the second half. Lamar Jackson with 8 carries. Then you look at the running backs here. Gus Edwards with 3 and Justice Hill with 3. And that's it. Like that's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I know Chris and Rick, who were at the game, Chris was texting us, and he couldn't believe it. He could not believe they weren't running the ball at all in the second half whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't understand it, especially with the scheme that they had too. And I get, they're playing some cover 2 and whatnot, and they're trying to bait Lamar Jackson. I mean, even on 3rd and 1, they decided to throw the football instead of run the football too. I just didn't understand what they were doing there. And Lamar, it looked like he could maybe run for the first down at a certain point, but he's trying to hold on to the football, trying to make a play. And of course, he just, there's just nothing. They did a hell of a job, the Chiefs. Credit to Steve Spagnuolo again. I thought they played very disciplined football today, and they look like perennial champions. Like they look like future champions, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we're so used to that wide open offense on the Chiefs, but this year, They could rely on their defense, and they did in this game. I mean, who would have thought this game would be 17-10? I didn't think that.
Well, I
But
had the Chiefs score right. I had 20-17, but in favor of the Ravens.
yeah,
So at least I had the Chiefs score right. I knew the under was going to hit just because of the buildup and the type of football that these two teams have been playing lately. It just was cut out to be one of those like back and forth. Who can smack each other in the mouth harder, and whoever's left at the end is going to be the winner, basically. And that's kind of what happened here. But the Chiefs basically just dominated the entire game. Crazy.
yeah. I mean, again, you lose the turnover battle 3-0.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
that
lose.
too.
You're gonna lose these type of playoff games,
Right.
Because the Ravens had every opportunity to win this. If you look at the stats on defense, Roquan Smith, 16 tackles, incredible. George Karlaftis had a nice sack, big time sack. He was actually the one who, I think it was him who caused the, strip sack,
Yep.
right? That was huge.
That's right.
Man, yeah, this is the year that the Chiefs have been able to rely on a defense. Like they put up no points in the second half, no points against the Ravens team. And you know, if I was to tell you that and you didn't watch the game, and I came over to you and I said, "Yeah, man, the Chiefs didn't put up any points in the second half," you'd be like, "They lost, right? What was the score?" No, they won the game. They won the game. So yeah, they did a fantastic job. Again, one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. The playoffs are making the Bills look like the second best team in the NFL.
I agree. I agree with everything she says here. And this is why it's such like a gut punch. I think the Bills are better than both of these teams. I mean, we had full control of the game last week against Kansas City. Spags does a hell of a job in the second half. Don't get me wrong. And that fourth quarter, I mean, things shifted, things changed, and they figured us out. They shut down our running game. And at that point, it just seemed like we were playing more, let's just control the clock and run this game out instead of daring to get into a shootout at that point. And unfortunately, you know, the Bills lose. And here we are sitting here thinking like, man, we could have beat this Ravens team too. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, we had the ball, the ball in our hands on our last drive to go ahead and take the lead, at least tie it up. But I still think we should have went for it. Take the lead. We had that opportunity, and you know, wide right. And again, I don't think that should have been a kick. I think you go for it. You could see the wind was blowing. Even Kelsey on his podcast talked about how windy it was on the field for the field goals. And again, you go for that and you try to get the win, and then they have to score a touchdown. They have to score a touchdown.
It's always deceiving in that stadium too. And you already have Tyler Bass coming into the situation. Coming up to this point, he wasn't hot at all. I mean, he was really struggling.
Yeah.
So I agree with your thought process there too, Mike. I mean, you put the dagger in him. I think you're throwing to the end zone twice there. You're thinking, hey, this is 4 down territory if he's taking shots to the end zone. He thinks he has more plays to work with, so go for it. And it didn't happen, and here we are. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. What are you going to do?
Yeah, so we had those conversations this past week, you know, we talked about, because a lot of people were like calling for McDermott's head. And, you know, John Harbaugh, they calling for his head now? I don't know.
We got to talk to Rick. I mean, I feel like Chris is even kind of on the fence right now, but we'll let those emotions kind of blow over. We'll get him on the Super Bowl show and talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk to him. Let's say hi to some folks here. We got Alpha Rob. Campbell blew the game with idiot coaching. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
Sean, what's up, brother?
Sean, you got to get points. You can't, you know, it's momentum changers big time, not going for those points and getting stuffed twice on 4th down. Let's see here. Alpha Rob.
Sorry,
sorry.
That's on me.
See what happens, boys. Little things. How many times?
So true. We talked about the margin of error being so slim in these games, especially. And yeah, we see what happens.
Yeah, momentum, certainly. Alpha Rob. And Casey won because Jackson isn't that good. Well, Jackson's going to be probably an MVP. The second kid is second
disagree
MVP.
with it too. Yeah, I think after that performance, especially, you know, you got to factor maybe a playoff game or two in there, right? It happens before the Super Bowl is decided. So it's the night before the Super Bowl that all these awards are announced. It actually might be on a Thursday this year, now that I'm thinking about it. So it's the Thursday before the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure. I think personally, out of all years for it not to be a quarterback, this should be that year. I think CMC deserves it more than any of those guys. You saw today how much of an asset he is, even when it doesn't look like he's getting going. Guy still finishes with 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. He runs so damn hard. He's such a big piece of that offense. You remove him from that team, I feel like they're not clicking as well, so he's a big piece of why they win this game today. You talk about establishing physicality and, just dominating in that sense. He is key in that. I do want to say something. Sean, you said, do I got to say it, right? I know exactly what you want to say, and I'm going to say it for you, brother. We talked about Lamar Jackson winning MVP, right, Mike? And I love Lamar. This is no disrespect to him at all. But I'm curious to see if he's criticized as much as Josh Allen seemed to be criticized by the national media following this game. Because, in my opinion, Josh Allen did everything in his power to basically win that Chiefs game last week. Sure, he misses that throw in the end zone, but he put him in position to win that game. And even this entire season, it was the story of the year. I think it was 5 times he leaves the field with the game either tied or where we're up. And somehow the Bills find a way to lose. So I get that a lot of this falls on the quarterback, and that's why he did receive the criticism he did. But I'm curious to see how they handle the criticism with Lamar. And I don't want to kick Lamar down while, he just loses this game. I think Lamar is a fantastic player. He improved a lot this year, especially with his pocket passing. And he had a bad game today, plain and simple. I think the Chiefs, they had his number. And that happens. Even with Josh Allen, that happens. But curious to see what the national media does with this and if he is criticized and if this does hurt his MVP chances.
So let me just tell you this, Jake, because I thought this. I looked it up and confirmed it. The NFL does not count anything in the playoffs when it comes to MVP. It's MVP for the regular season.
Regular season, yeah.
Yeah, so playoff stuff, it's not supposed to. Now, I don't know if they did their final vote, and could it maybe sway someone after? But it's not supposed to, Jake. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, recency bias, and it's a what have you done for me lately league, so maybe. But, yeah, that's a good point, Mike. It is a regular season award.
Yeah, see, here's Zach coming. Zach, good to see you out there, Zach. Coming in hot. Need to fire McDermott. Where were you Wednesday, Zach? We had all those conversations. Your good friend Timmy was out there as well. And Jessica's saying the Bills did not have a second gear on offense last weekend. Just heavy was working.
Yeah, heavy package was working for sure. And then it stopped working in the fourth quarter. And then it just seemed like we still tried to go with it, and you weren't getting anywhere with it. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, Zach saying just question why can't win with Allen. So yeah, so then you said it very well, Jake. I mean, the same narratives around Lamar Jackson should be out there like they are with Josh Allen. Obviously, nobody's not able to win the big game. That's what they say about Josh. But I mean, let's also realize that we're watching something incredible with the Chiefs. Don't know how they do it, but when you have that nucleus, they're able to get it done. And it just feels a lot like the Patriots. They always had those core group of players, and they could rotate in other receivers that weren't that special or that weren't really, what you would consider, top 5 receivers. And they just would rotate, and those core players, Gronkowski, Brady, whoever else you want to throw in there. They always had it, and then they had the defensive players as well. They had those core players, and they would just get it done, man. So it feels a lot like that, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the receivers, it's not like they have a bunch of household names either. I mean, outside of Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice is definitely coming up, and he's coming along. But, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Justin Watson, guys that aren't really your cream of the crop receivers in the league. No disrespect to them. So it is pretty impressive. I think it really speaks to how good they are as a team. Got to give a shout out to that offensive line too. That interior offensive line, even with Joe Thuney out of the game, Mike, they dominated the line of scrimmage today, and it was a masterpiece. I mean, it was really impressive to watch.
Agree. So, congrats, Chiefs fans. You did it again. We're going to move on from this. We'll probably talk a little bit about the Ravens with Chris and Rick when they get back. Well, one of them lives in Baltimore, but Rick lives out here in California. So maybe we'll get them on the Wednesday show and talk a little bit about their adventures and then get their thoughts. But Jake, I wanted to take the rest of the show to talk a little bit about, kind of look back on the McDermott Beane era, the draft era, kind of refresh everyone's mind of from 2017 till now, how their drafts had went, and kind of give a grade on each of the drafts, and then also kind of just talk about future needs. And we're not going to throw players out there right now. I mean, Jake may, but I'll talk about groups, position groups that we may be looking at, because you have the free agency first, and then you have the draft after that. So let's go. Let's take a look, because this was fun for me. Because back in 2017 and 2018, I wasn't following the draft. I would just take whoever the Bills drafted and roll with it. And now that we do podcasts and we get into it every year, it's a bit different. But I thought it'd be fun to go back in time here. So let's bring it up here. Let's go back to 2017. Now, if you remember, in 2017, folks, McDermott had just gotten hired about 3 months before the draft. And Doug Whaley was the GM. Now, everyone knew Doug Whaley had 1 foot out the door. And if you remember, round one, our first pick was Tre'Davious White at number 27. But the Bills had the number 10 pick. And they traded that away. They traded down for the 27th pick with who, Jake?
Mr. Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. So the Chiefs took, with that number 10 pick, they took Pat Mahomes. And again, we talked about this last couple of shows. A lot of people misevaluated Pat Mahomes. Like, if you looked at his film or if you watched anything, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is a generational player. But I'll tell you what, Andy Reid did. And he has just fit Andy Reid's system perfectly. But yeah, so the Bills trade down. They actually get the Chiefs' first round pick in the second round. It was the 22nd pick. And we traded up to number 16 to get Tremaine Edmonds. And of course, the Bills take Josh Allen next year. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's go through this one. 2017, you got McDermott and you got Doug Whaley. And I feel like they hit some gold here. Tre'Davious White in the first round. Incredible. I mean, obviously, he's had the injuries the last couple of years. And who knows if, we'll get into that, like look at contracts and stuff. Do you think Trey's done for the Buffalo Bills?
Man, Achilles is really, really tough to come back from, especially as a corner. Here he tore an ACL too, but Achilles, that is your explosiveness, Mike. So, and here's the thing too. I don't know if he can make the conversion to safety. I just feel like that is not a good fit for him. He really hasn't been known as the greatest tackler either. So, to me, I do feel like he might be done here in Buffalo. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially since we, corners, we've got some nice young corners there. And Rasul Douglas, I think we have Rasul next year, I hope.
We do. Yeah, he's locked up for this season. And then, I know they're going to talk about maybe extending him, obviously.
That.
But, yeah.
Yeah, but if you look at this draft, so Trey White, obviously, nice hit, big hit. Zay Jones, probably not a good hit at number 2 at the 37th pick overall. Didn't have any, really good time in Buffalo, but he's went on later on to be a decent receiver. He's been playing for the Jaguars and having some decent seasons with them. But definitely at number 2, Jake, at 37th pick overall, you got to think for the Bills at least is a little bit of a bust right there.
He put up insane numbers in college, and I was really excited because he's also Jeff Blake's nephew, and I'm like, man, he's got the lineage. Let's go. This dude's a smart football player. He put up insane stats, albeit at East Carolina, obviously not playing like Power 5 competition on a daily basis or weekly basis, I should say, in college, right? But he was supposed to be our wide receiver too. Kind of turned into more of a slot guy, if you will, and he's a solid receiver in the league right now. But his time in Buffalo, I feel like it was just a little underwhelming. I think we always felt like he was going to be a lot more than what he turned out to be. He did have like a 600-yard season here, but it just didn't really pan out. And he did have like a really weird episode where he was like butt naked or something, and he was I think he got arrested or something too. So, and obviously people learn, people make mistakes and all that, but kind of a weird time for him here in Buffalo. Obviously wasn't benefiting from the elite quarterback play that we have right now.
Yeah, I agree. So was Dawkins a guard initially? Because this is was he really?
Yeah, wow. He's kind of undersized as a tackle, even so. He's only 6'4". I say only 6'4". 6'4", like low 300s, right? So his body type even coming in, people felt like he was better suited as a guard, but they had to eventually make the move due to injuries and just seeing his actual athleticism, even though we didn't look it. They felt like he would be a really good tackle, and it's panned out quite well.
Oh, fantastic. Did he get play time right away, or did it take him
Yeah, he
time?
did.
So he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
starting day one?
pretty much. Yeah, I think he started right off the bat, I want to say. I have it right here. Let's see how many starts he had his rookie year.
And did they start him at
So it
tackle?
was 11 games. 11 games
Okay.
he started. Yeah,
Alright.
so he initially was at guard, and I think there was an injury to, was it Cordy Glenn at the time, our tackle? Or maybe it was before Cordy Glenn got traded. So I'm trying to think of who our tackle was at that time, but he had to eventually come in and play left tackle for us.
Okay.
So yeah, and then he never lost a spot since then.
Yeah,
So
we hit gold there. So Trey White,
Yeah.
gold, Deion Dawkins, gold, and then Matt Milano in the 5th round. You want to
Yeah.
talk about hitting gold? There you go.
Crazy. Yeah.
So
Very, very impressive.
Out of the 6 draftees, I mean, we hit 3. We hit on 3 of them. And again, this is McDermott. This is not Beane yet. So, in my opinion, this is a pretty good draft, my friend. Nate Peterman and Tanner Vallejo. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. We know what happened. Peterman went on to throw a lot of interceptions, tied the record for 5 interceptions and a half against the Chargers that one year. Actually, was kind of crazy that. Now, here's something you can talk about McDermott. Like, McDermott made the decisions to start him over Tyrod. What do you think about that, Jake, when that decision was made?
I did not like the decision at all. I felt like it was a slight against Tyrod, to be honest with you. And then, he had a really good showing in the preseason the next season in 2018 when we had Josh Allen as a rookie, and he decides to start Nate Peterman over Josh Allen at the time too, which is even more wild to think of considering. So, yeah. But he's still in the NFL. He's a serviceable backup. Same with Tanner Vallejo, actually. Believe it or not, he's been more of a special teams guy than anything, but he's bounced around a little bit himself.
All right, Jake. So for 2017, what do you give the Bills here as far as a draft grade?
I think you got to give it like an A-. I'm not going to give it an A just because there were a couple of picks here late. I mean, they're 5th rounders and stuff. Like Nate Peterman's a 5th round pick. You don't necessarily expect a 5th round quarterback to pan out. He did technically start some games with us, and although the numbers weren't there, he still started games. So as a 5th round quarterback to start some games, it's usually either one of two things. Your team is really that bad, which we kind of were, or which I guess we really weren't because we did go to the playoffs in Sean McDermott's first season, but injuries, so I think people felt very strong about Nate Peterman, graded him out as actually a potential 3rd rounder even coming out of Pitt. People felt like he knew the game really well, but the physical traits just didn't really correlate as well to the league. But up here, he's got it, which is why he's been able to last in the league. But yeah, I think overall you give it an A-. You got Matt Milano in the 5th round. That's a hell of a win there. Deion Dawkins late in the 2nd, and then Trey White. I mean, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'll take the A- as well. I might have been a little harsher instead of B, but I'm with you. A-. Let's go. Then 2018, and we get our franchise quarterback Josh Allen with the number 7 pick, and we had to trade up to get him. I mean, I think we were sitting at 9, I think, right? And we traded up. I forget who. Oh, we traded with the Bucks. I have it right there on the screen.
Yep.
7th pick, and let's see here. I have some notes. Let me see what other notes I have there. And we gave up 2 second rounders in this year's draft.
Yep.
So great pick, obviously, with Josh. Boom, start off and this is Beane's first year, right? So Beane joins up with McDermott, and they hit the lottery. They hit the jackpot in round 1 with the 7th pick. Tremaine Edmonds, they traded up for him as well. We had the 22nd pick, which was given, a part of that deal when the Chiefs traded to get Mahomes. We trade up and get Edmonds with the 16th pick. Jake, you had to be extremely excited when Edmonds was drafted, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all like, me, I love those big physical linebackers, fast. I just feel that they can, they have the capabilities there to make more plays, especially because of their height. And he had everything. He had all the physical traits. But if you look back on his time with Buffalo and you look at how Terrell Bernard was able to come in and really never make us regret letting Edmonds go, mean, what's your thoughts on that pick? I mean, just grade that one for me, just that one alone.
I'd grade it as a B. I think he did a lot of really good things here in Buffalo still. Like, he still had his moments, and, I know this year we didn't feel the loss of him at all, but I felt the impact he made with our defense, you know, over the last 3 years prior to that was pretty damn good. I mean, you felt it when he was out. You could tell right away. I mean, even in the passing game, like, not having that presence in the middle, like, he was a disruptor. And unfortunately, a lot of times he kind of overcommitted, or he would shoot the wrong gap, and he wasn't always as physical as we would have liked him to be, and didn't really play at the size he was. But he was super athletic, and he did make opportunistic plays when he needed to. So I think I got to give that a B. He was still a two-time Pro Bowler too with us. And, I know the Pro Bowl doesn't mean as much, but still to be recognized by your peers as one of the better linebackers in the league, that has to say something.
Yeah. And so then we got Harrison Phillips in the 3rd round. Taron Johnson, nice hit there in the 4th.
Oh, yeah.
Saran Neal, nice hit there in the 5th. Wyatt Teller was a nice hit in the 5th.
Yeah.
And what's the story there again, Jake? I know what happened, because Wyatt Teller went on with Cleveland and became a very good offensive lineman. What happened there? How do we miss that?
It was just more so a numbers game, I felt like. Unfortunately, he wasn't really performing at the level that a lot of people felt he was capable of. I think a lot of people knew that he was better than his 5th round draft status, and that obviously proved right in Cleveland. But yeah, they made the move to trade him away, and I think we ended up getting, so we got a 5th and a 6th rounder for him, and it was maybe Tyler Bass, I think, was one of those picks, actually. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, obviously goes to Cleveland, and now he's an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler there. So unfortunately, it didn't work out in Buffalo, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they were on it. Made a nice pick. Overall, so Ray McLeod, great name for football, by the way. Yeah. And then Austin Proehl. Grade this year. What are you giving it?
This is the staple draft. Like, this is the year. I mean, you look at some of these late round picks too. I know Wyatt Teller obviously doesn't pan out for us, but I think you could still put some merit into the fact that he's a really, really good guard in the league, and he's one of the better guards in the NFL right now. So, Saran Neal still on the team right now. Taron Johnson, by the way, fun fact about Taron Johnson and that draft pick there, that happened as I was at the altar marrying my wife. And I'll never let her live it down, because we had the draft. So day 3 of the NFL draft was during our wedding, and we're saying our I do's. And my buddy, Ian, who he's there, and he's showing me all the picks, and I'm like, holy smokes, Taron Johnson. There we go. So didn't know a ton about him when we drafted him, but panned out pretty well. So maybe we gave him the good luck charm there.
Nice. So you'll always be tied to Taron Johnson. I love it. He's one of my favorite players, and one of the best nickel corners in the league for sure.
I'm going to give this an A. Actually, I'm going to give this an A+, because Josh Allen's in it.
Yeah, you got to. It's franchise quarterback. And again, you hit the lottery here. So fantastic. 2018. Let's go to 2019. We'll get through these a little bit quicker, folks. Ed Oliver with the 1st round pick. Obviously, a very good pick. I mean, when his first contract years, there were people talking about, he's not playing to the level he should be or to their expectations. He re-signed with Buffalo, and he's been nothing but stellar. So I feel like that was a great hit. Cody Ford is interesting. We take him with the number 2 pick, 38th overall, and it just never panned out. What happened with Cody Ford? What happened with this guy?
He had a really good rookie year, and then I felt like I don't know if it was really a change of scheme so much, because I felt like the scheme kind of stayed the same for the most part. Injuries obviously played a part in this too, but his rookie year, things were so promising, and he just, we tried switching him to guard. He kicked inside. He's trying to learn a new position, and could never really pick that up well either. And then, next thing you know, we ended up trading him, and he's no longer a Buffalo Bill. This is a guy that I felt like had the potential. It just coaching and, just kind of being in the right place at the right time didn't necessarily work out for him. Sucks.
Yeah.
But that's There's so many of these stories in the NFL.
Yeah, who's he playing for? I felt like whoever he's playing for.
He was with the Cardinals. Yeah, he was with the Cardinals, and then I forget who he was with this year. Actually, I'll look that up quick.
All right. Well, we also got Singletary, who we all loved. Motor, fantastic. Was a big fan of his. So a nice hit there in the third round. Dawson Knox as well. Dawson Knox, love the guy. Been up and down. Obviously paid him a lot of money, and it's crazy because
Cincinnati, by the way, okay. Cincinnati.
Good, thank you, sir. And then Dawson Knox, yeah, like I was saying, it's paid him a lot of money. You don't feed him a lot of targets, but he's a great blocker, great guy, but does drop some key passes, and that's continued all throughout his career. Even this year, when he came back, he had a big drop there. But I don't know. I'm not going to grade Dawson because I'm too much of a fan of his for what he does outside of the team. Yeah. And I do love the ability, what he brings to the team. And he's had a lot of big plays with us, but there's always that one or two plays where you're just like, how did you drop that, Dawson? So from the 5th round all the way to the 7th, I mean, did any of these move on? I'm just going to ask you this. Did any of these go on to be good players where they are currently?
Not so much. I felt like the best of these remaining picks here was probably Jaquan Johnson because he had to start a few games for us, obviously due to the injuries at safety, but yeah.
Yeah, didn't last long. Didn't last long though. But again, so in this one, you got Oliver, Singletary, and Knox. 3 out of your, what'd you get there? 3, 6. We had 8 picks. No, 3, 6. Yeah, we had 8 draft picks here. So you hit on 3 of them. What's your grade for the?
I think I give this a B. I'm going to give this one a B.
All right.
Yeah.
I can live with that as well. 2020. So 2020, we don't have a first round, and that's because of the trade. We gave up our first rounder for Diggs. So our first rounder went to Minnesota. And we draft AJ Epinesa in the 2nd round. I'll let you talk about him in a little bit because it's been up and down for AJ. Again, another guy that people were looking to maybe trade, get away from. I think he's a free agent this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I want to get your take on whether you think the Bills should bring him back. Zach Moss didn't work out, but hey, he went on to play for the Colts a little bit and had a pretty good season this past season. So good to see him. Gabe Davis, yeah. Big game, Gabe. I don't know. I mean, you look at all the promise we had for him after that 13-second game, and he became the number 2 receiver and spent a little bit of a late letdown. Jack Fromm, Tyler Bass, Isaiah Hodgins, who never could make it on the active squad and then got picked up by Dable over there and had a pretty good year last year. I don't know what he did this year. And then Dane Jackson, there you go, a 7th rounder. I don't know what it is. We have a thing for hitting targets in the 7th round with cornerbacks. We had Dane Jackson, and I think we had Benford, a 6th rounder, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So anyhow, talk to me about Epinesa and your thoughts on, what you'd like to see the Bills do with Epinesa.
I feel like with AJ Epinesa, like he has his moments here in Buffalo. He does really good things for us, but when he seems to get like this momentum, he's more of a role player. So the Bills, they like to rotate a lot of these DNs in and out. And whenever he makes these really good plays, it's like he comes out of the game. I feel like you got to leave him in there. Give him more of a chance. The cough's coming back again. I don't know what's going on, Mike, but yes. I think this is a guy that's worth re-signing, honestly. I think what he brings to the table, you need to let him just stay in the game and not keep rotating him in and out. I think you roll with the hot hand. There's been a lot of times where he is the hot hand, and we take him out of the game. Excuse me, I got a cough again. I'll let you talk a little bit.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know. Yeah, you'll see him he made a lot of nice plays earlier in the year, deflecting a lot of passes, seemed to have good eye-hand coordination. He's making some big plays there. And I don't know. I don't see enough of those plays. So to me, it's going to depend on what that money looks like. I'd love to see him come back. I think he's got the talent. But again, based on what I saw towards the end of the year, it seemed like he kind of fell off.
Well, he was
And
also dealing with an injury too, so I think you got to put that into perspective, and then also the fact that whenever he is in the game, he's in for a couple plays and he's taken out. And I like having guys that are fresh, but to a certain extent, you got to let the guys play when they're hot. And if you don't give the guy a chance to make a play, then what are we doing?
yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, the Bills, I don't think they're going to change their tendencies. It's just how they do. They love to rotate. Um, but yeah, so I don't think it's going to be a massive amount of money to keep him here. But you never know. You never know what another team's willing to pay somebody. So we'll see. We'll see. It's all going to depend on the money for me, Jake. Zach Moss, Gabe Davis, Jack Frumps, Tyler Bass, Hodgkins, and Dean Jackson, who was a nice hit. So talk to me without a first rounder. Obviously, we got Diggs as part of the trade, and we gave up our first rounder in the 2020 draft. What are you grading out the 2020 draft, Jake?
I like this as like a B minus. There's some good names here, guys that have contributed and have made huge plays and big moments. Gabe Davis being one of those guys, but the problem is he's more of a 50-50 receiver now, and I think he's very polarizing. A lot of people, I like Gabe a lot, but is he that reliable number 2? I don't think he is. And that's why I want to take someone else in the draft this year. So now if we can get him for cheap and re-sign him, I'd be okay with that. But I feel like we need to move on from him. So, there's a lot of those types of situations here too. Tyler Bass, obviously recency bias is tough. He misses the potential game-tying field goal in the playoff game. People are very soured over him right now, but they did rally. They donated to his charity, so that was very good on Bills Mafia to do that. I think he's been a pretty solid kicker, though. This is a guy that replaced Steven Hauschka, and I was very perplexed about the whole situation because I felt like Steven Hauschka was a pretty good kicker. But I think he's done a good job. Obviously, this year was a down year, but I'm willing to bet that he's going to come back next year and, rebound. So I'm going to give this a B minus overall just because I think there's a lot of names on here that you felt like were going to be a little bit better than what they were. You wanted just a little bit more out of them. Zach Moss being one of those guys too.
Yeah, I agree with so the Gabe Davis thing. It's crazy that he was in a contract year. I expected a huge year for him. I mean, honestly, obviously for him, he wants to get that big payday. And I think he hurt himself. I mean, he didn't do it on purpose, but for whatever reason, big game Gabe was just not a thing down the stretch. Too many times where he didn't even have receptions, which is crazy for a number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
So if it's cheap, I mean, again, I don't think what he did this year is gonna warrant teams wanting to pay a lot of money. But he's a big physical guy, good blocker, and who knows? Maybe the Chiefs might look at him and like, hey, Gabe Davis, we saw what he did back in 2021.
What's a number that you would feel comfortable with, like an amount per year that you would feel comfortable with if we were to bring back Gabe?
So wide receivers paid quite a bit. I guess for me, it's around 6 to 8.
Okay.
So
you would bring him back on like a 2-year, $12 million deal?
2 year, yeah. What are you thinking?
I was more along the lines of like 3 years, 12 million, something like that, $4 million a year.
Well,
so yeah,
we'll see. That'll be interesting. So yeah, I agree with you here on everything. Again, nice hits on Dean Jackson. Tyler Bass, I think you got to roll it back. You got to roll it back.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he's just. It sucked too because this year, like every time we played a team, kickers were money. They were money against us. Yeah. Like I was seeing it myself. 55 yarders are nothing in the NFL these days. Over 50 is nothing. These kickers are nailing it from 45 to 55 consistently. Then of course our kicker just he didn't decide and do it on purpose. Just goes through a bad streak, and a lot of kickers have done that. So he's asking. Let's see. The Trek reviewer is saying, "Do we bring back Matt Ariza?" Jake.
No, I think we give Slippery Sam Martin another shot, as long as his hamstring's okay, of course. He did have a tough stretch at the end there, though, I gotta say.
He says Gabe would fit well in KC because he drops passes. I don't know. Chris, our rep on the AFC Summit show, would love him in New England.
Yeah. By the way, too, my rebuttal to the Matt Ariza thing, even if it isn't Slippery Sam Martin, right? There's so many other guys out there that have played more recently, and it's unfortunate, obviously, the whole situation with Matt Ariza. You know, he's been out of the league, though, for a couple of years now. I mean, I know he's probably stayed in shape and he's been working out, but you would think he would maybe get a tryout from even other teams that are hungry for a punter, and I just didn't see any of that this year. I think he did have a workout with the Jets in the offseason, but he didn't end up making it, didn't end up signing with them.
I think someone will give him an opportunity this year. I think they needed to let it sit for a little bit.
Simmer a little bit, yeah.
I think he's a little he's who knows? The Bills may have reached out to him, but I know he felt a little betrayed by the Bills, not waiting it out. He kind of said that in one of the interviews I saw after he was found not guilty, or was dismissed. Sorry. So yeah, I don't know. They might have reached out to him, but he just might be just a little upset with us. So I do believe someone will give him a chance. I just think it was kind of they needed a little bit of time. It would just all happen this year, or
True.
last year. Sorry. So I think someone. I mean, why would you not? The dude can change the field.
Oh yeah, we saw it in the preseason. He punted freaking 82 yards. It was incredible. So you're right. It does feel like it's actually longer than what it actually is too.
I know, right?
So, really has only been like 2 years, not even 2 years, a year and a half.
Right.
Crazy.
So we'll see. So here we go. 2021. And our first rounder off the board is Gregory Rousseau, followed by Boogie Basham. And when this happened, I really thought Boogie was going to be a much better player than he was for us. Obviously, he gets traded this year. And I thought he was more seasoned. Obviously, he had played more than Rousseau, who kind of took off his senior year due to COVID. But it didn't turn out that well for him. And obviously, he's went on to be with the Giants. And I don't think he's done much over there since he's left. We'll come back to Rousseau in a little bit. Spencer Brown, obviously, he starts his first year. People just, a lot of people down on him. He didn't look good out of the gate. Follows up with his second year. Not good either, but he had come off of back surgery after that first year, and didn't have a lot of time to really work with Cromer. And he struggled again last year. And then this year kind of was, this is it, right? This is the year he's got to show up. We draft Osiris Torrance. He gets somebody next to him he can trust and rely on. And those two were fantastic. And Spencer Brown now, looking at this, to me, is a big win, a big hit here. If you would ask me that last year, I'm saying that's a big miss right there. Swing and a miss. Tommy Doyle, I mean, injuries kind of have done him in, hurt the poor young guy. He came back this year. Did he get hurt again? I think.
Yeah, another ACL, right? I believe it was. Yeah.
Marcus Stevenson was interesting. I was pretty excited about him when we drafted him. He had a lot of speed. I was looking for that, Zay Flower type of guy in Marquez, but had a couple good preseason games and then just didn't pan out. Damar Hamlin, who's still on our team, nice hit there. Rashad Wildgoose. Now I know he was poached from our practice squad. Has he done anything? Has he gone on to be a decent corner? No.
No. He played, with the Jets and mainly just specials. Didn't do a whole lot though.
All right. And then what about Jack Anderson?
Jack Anderson, I think, went to the Colts.
Doing anything good for them?
No, I don't think he's actually started any games. He's just been mainly a depth guy. Let me actually confirm that too. I want to say it was the Colts. Let's see here. I got a new keyboard, so I'm all messed up. I got one of those condensed keyboards now, Mike, where it's like smaller. But the problem is whenever I type now, I'm typing like way over where I should be.
Yeah,
I'm used to the more.
Why did you do that? I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
you train your hands on a regular size keyboard. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Let's see. He has started, Jack Anderson, by the way.
Okay.
Did have to start 2 games last year with the Giants.
Okay.
But this year, he did not start any games with the Colts.
Okay. So let's talk about Rousseau and Basham. When that happened, first of all, what were your thoughts on taking defensive line back to back? And what were your thoughts on the actual picks themselves?
It was a very interesting move to take 2 back-to-back DNs, but the thought was with these 2, Boogie Basham was more seasoned, and the fact that he played every single position on the defensive line, it made him a very, attractive draft prospect. And, even playing specials, I mean, he blocked a couple field goals here with us, so I think offering that value, it really caught the eye of Brandon Beane. With Greg Rousseau, he was more of a project. He sat out the COVID year, so we didn't have any tape on him during 2020. But you saw what his size was, 6'7", 260. The dude is athletic as they come. And, I mean, I think with him being a first rounder, you expect to see the sack numbers. Now, Greg is very good at setting the edge and stopping the run. But I want to see him still take that next step as a pass rusher. I feel like there were a lot of moments this year where he was very close to getting there, but it just didn't happen. Almost Jerry Hughes-esque towards the end
Yeah.
of his career here in Buffalo, right? And I just feel like as a first rounder, man, you see guys like George Karlaftis drafted late in the first that are making plays, doing things for the Chiefs. And it's like, man, why couldn't Greg do that? Like, to have his frame and to have that just stature and athletic ability, man, this dude should be dominating every single game. And I don't think he's bad at all. I think he's a very capable, good defensive end. But I want to see him take that next step, not just setting the edge and stopping the run. I want to see some numbers in the sack game. This year, I projected him to have 12 and a half sacks. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
So he had half of that, basically. And it's just, I feel like it was still a good pick, but I'm just wanting more there. I'm wanting more. And Boogie Basham, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because I think he was a very good role player. He did a lot in the preseason this past year to, I guess, secure a spot again on the team, but it's a numbers game at the end of the day, and you weren't going to keep him over AJ Epinesa. That's just the case there. So hasn't really done a whole lot in New York. He was on the practice squad, and yeah, he's kind of fallen off and fallen out of favor there. So wish him the best of luck, but I liked the pick at the time. Unfortunately, it didn't really pan out to be a second round status, if you will, compared to our other second round picks.
Yeah, don't forget the Groot interception on Mahomes. So yeah,
yeah, I mean, big plays and big moments for sure.
Yeah, his rookie year, it was very promising, and I'm not saying I'm done with him. I'm just saying he hasn't gone to the next level like we thought he would. I'm totally in agreement with you there, Jake. And you would think working with Von Miller, going to Von's camp, I mean, to have a guy like Von working with you, coaching you, and we all thought there was no doubt he was going to get 10 sacks this year. Just didn't happen. And with his frame and size, get the hands up. Of course, if you look at PFF, Pro Football Focus, they love him. They love him. He's a great run stopper.
Yeah.
He definitely is a great run stopper, but he's got to get that pressure rate up. So, so what do you give this? What do you give this 2021 draft, Jake?
I feel like this is a B, just because Spencer Brown's a capable starter. He had by far his best season this year. Greg Rousseau, starter. DeMar Hamlin had to come in a little bit. Obviously, we know the story with him. He's still on the team.
Yep.
But I think you get 2 really capable starters in the first 3 rounds, you're doing pretty good.
Well, this is the first round. The first draft I'm going to do this with. I want to see who was around Rousseau, maybe 5 to 10 after, and who's around Basham. Like, are there any names you're like, damn, that would have been a nice pick? So let's take a look here. So we took, let's see, we take Rousseau with the 30th pick. 31 is Odafe Oweh. I mean, this guy.
He's gotten time with the Ravens. He plays. He's a role player.
No star there.
Now this is a great pick. Joe Tryon Shoyinka, very good player for the Bucks. Would have loved to have a shot at him too, which we did, and we took Rousseau over him. I don't hate that move.
Yeah, but let's look at some of these other ones that you're like, man. So again, I think Javon Holland, a safety, would surely be nice to have that guy. Christian Barmore, my goodness. Another fantastic pick. So again, just something to look at there. You can't tell. I mean, everything looked good on Rousseau. I mean, again, he took off his senior year, which was the biggest concern for me. But what he had done his previous year was like pretty darn impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at some of these guys here. Let me go down a little bit
That was
further.
the biggest knock too. It's like you can't get pressure on the quarterback. So what do? You load up on DNs. What do you want
Yeah,
them to do in that
yeah,
situation? So I don't hate the move at all.
yeah. All right. So you give it a B,
Yeah, I
and
might do C plus actually. Now that I'm
yeah.
thinking about it, let's go C plus there.
All right.
Just because the other draft classes I gave B's to, I feel like they were stronger than this. So I'm gonna go C plus here.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go to 2022. And this is a tough one. They hit some gold
Yeah.
in here as well, but the big elephant in the room is that number one pick, Kyer Elam, which is still this is the guy we wanted, Jake. I remember we did all the corners, we looked at it, we're like, well, based on who's going to be available. This was the year Sauce Gardner was drafted. This is the year that Trent McDuffie, and by the way, Trent McDuffie, oh my God, what a player that kid's turned out to be.
Oh yeah.
But we looked at it, we're like, Kyer, he's got the size, he's got the speed, played for Florida, and we draft him, get some play time, make some nice plays, but we're seeing a lot of where he's not getting any. Like it's like we couldn't understand where's Kyer Elam, why is he not getting play time? And when he played, I can remember the Chiefs game, I can remember the Dolphins game, made huge plays in those games, and we saw him a few weeks ago. Now again, he was handsy and he had that one call, but he makes up for it with a huge interception. And there is playmaker. The guy is a playmaker. Yet I don't know what's going to happen here. We'll come back to him, Jake. Obviously, James Cook, a nice hit there. Would be even a better hit if could see that young man catch more passes. I mean,
right?
Less drops. Terrell Bernard turned out to be a gem. My goodness, we were all concerned about him last year. We got a little bit of playing time. I forget who was hurt, but he got in there. Didn't look great in coverage, but again, it was a small sample size. Misses the preseason due to injury and gets the start. We didn't even think he was going to start. He gets the start to open the season, and we haven't looked back whatsoever. Jermaine Evans? No talk about him whatsoever. So fantastic pick there. Khalil Shakir. Fantastic pick. I mean, we've seen it, right? So excited about that. Matt Ariza, the punt god. So we just talked about him. Christian Benford, 6th rounder who's starting with us. So that was crazy, right? He started, became a starter for us over Elam. Luke Tunada, and Balin Spector, who is playing with us. And Balin, I'm a little concerned only because he seems to be injury prone. But he looked good this year when he filled in for a brief amount of time. But let's roll it back to Kyer Elam, Jake. What's gonna happen moving forward? What do you see? We're still under contract, still under a rookie contract. What do you think the Bills do with Kyer?
I think they're going to keep him because I feel like Trey White is gone. So they need some cornerback depth. They need a guy that is young still, and I guess I don't know where he is with the system. I think he's still trying to grasp it for the most part because he is not a zone scheme fit by nature. But I mean, shoot, Mike, you pointed it out. He's done some really good things for us. And he highlighted the foot injury that he had during training camp, which really hindered him and didn't allow him to really get on the field. So I think the combination of not being, a natural zone corner and then having that injury and still trying to sort of grasp the defense, all of that kind of came to a head. And, I was happy for him to get the interception against the Steelers. That was awesome to see because he got bodied on the couple plays before that. So I think this is still a very interesting prospect. I liken him to Jimmy Smith, former corner for the Baltimore Ravens, who took some time to sort of come into his own. And it was actually during that third season that he decided to become a starting corner, and he never looked back. So maybe this is the year for him. So I think we keep him.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, what are your options, right? You trade him. You try to trade him, and maybe there's a defensive coordinator out there who plays a lot of man. These defenses out there. Can you think of a team that plays man? Kyer would be perfect in that scheme. But I agree with you. I don't think you're going to get much if you were to trade Kyer. I mean, this is a first rounder, guys. I hate to give up that equity or that type of draft stock after only 2 years when I've seen some promise from him. And if you trade him, I don't think you're going to get anything more than a fifth round draft pick, Jake. It's
I agree. I
sad
think
to say.
what would you call it? I guess the value
Yeah,
in to value out ratio is not great. So I think you're better off just keeping them, plain and simple.
yeah, I agree. All right, well, let's see. Fingers crossed. He'll compete. He'll compete in the in the off season, and we'll see what happens there. All right, so grade on the 2022 draft, Jake.
Well, I mean, there's still a little bit of a question mark, obviously, with Kyrie Elam. But you look at rounds 2, 3, and 5 there. Oh my goodness. And then 6 for Christian Benford. Fantastic. I got to give this a B+. I feel like Terrell Bernard, Khalil Shakir. I mean, we have our slot receiver there, our starting inside linebacker for years to come, and our starting running back. I mean, our first 1,000-yard rusher since Shady McCoy. I mean, that's pretty incredible. And Christian Benford, going to be cornerback number 2 probably as the year starts as well. So I'm very happy with this draft class. I think B+ is worthy.
All right, so let's talk about this a little bit here. I do believe the Bills traded up to get Kyrie, right? I think
Yeah, that's right.
we were a little bit lower. We traded up. How nice would it have
we were
been
at 25, was it maybe? Or no?
Yeah, I think we only traded up a couple moves to get him. But how nice would it have been for the Bills to trade up and just put a little more effort into it and get to this young kid, Trent McDuffie? Oh my goodness!
Oh man, yeah, he's unbelievable. 5 forced fumbles this year. Quay Walker, really good linebacker edge for the Packers. Yeah,
I mean, look at these guys after him: Tyler Lindenbaum, Jermaine Johnson, who I think still on the Jets, he's a playmaker, but he hasn't been getting. They kind of rotate a lot there, and I don't think he's seen the field enough. But this guy to me is incredible. He was an incredible steal for the Jets at number 26.
Oh yeah,
Devontae Wyatt, Cole Strange. Here we go. Karlaftis was there.
Oh man,
woo! You see that young kid playing now? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with that too, though, you're coming off, only 2 years removed from taking, or even a year removed, right? Yeah, a year removed from taking Greg Rousseau. So I understand not going with another defensive end, and corner was a big need going into that 2022 season. So I get it.
How's McCreary was high on our list. How's Roger McCreary been panning out so far?
Not super great.
Not fantastic.
He's gotten some time. He's played some meaningful snaps, but yeah,
Interesting. A lot of good players down here in the second round. All right. Don't like to do that because, again, you just never know. But it's always interesting to kind of take a look and be like,
And I wanted Kyrie Elam. Like, that was my guy during the entire draft process. So I got to stand by it, and I'm still willing to give him another shot.
Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Track Review. We were 28th. We traded up just a few spots. And then, Chad McDuffie was a great pick for KC. He's incredible. Today, he was fantastic. I love that they bring him up. They bring him on a lot of blitzes. Incredible.
And I'll say this. So you talked a little bit about Roger McCreary. I think the biggest difference with him and Kyrie, because that was another guy that I really like. Roger McCreary is a very good tackling corner. I think this year he did have like 80-something tackles. So he had a pretty good year, but he's been in and out of the lineup there. I think he only started like 10 or 11 games this year with the Titans. So they see the lack of skill set in other areas. He's physical. I think he plays well in the run game, but coverage skills are not where, first round talent is. And I think that's where Kyrie Elam is good. Like, even if he does get beat, he can catch up with those guys because he has the speed to make up for it.
Chad, you're throwing salt on the wounds, man.
I know.
So was Karlaftis. Yeah, that was fantastic. I think this was the year where they got all those draft picks for Tyreek, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, and you guys did, great recruiting, great evaluating. Fantastic job. on these two guys. So, man, it's changed your defense. Look at this defense you guys have. You're putting out on the field now. You don't have to defend on your. You don't have to depend, not defend. You don't have to depend on your offense any longer, right? Your defense can keep you in games, and they showed it today. So impressive. They showed it.
By the way,
throughout the
Chad,
playoffs.
it looks like you touched down there. So glad you made it home.
Yeah. Nice. Maybe he's on the plane, so
or maybe he is still on the plane.
Got Wi-Fi on the plane, and we appreciate you, Chad.
Thanks for coming back, man.
Yeah, really appreciate it. 2023. So, what did we grade this one? No, we didn't. I don't think. Right? Did we give?
I gave it a B+. All
right. Ooh, man, if Elon would have hit, and if he does hit next year,
that's A territory.
That goes to A territory for sure.
Yeah.
So, all really going to depend. I feel missing out on in a first round pick is a huge miss. So, I mean, depending on what, but you hit, like you said, 2, 3, 5, and 6. So I'm with you. You said B?
I said B+, just because we got some really good starters in those 2 through 5 rounds there, and 6 with Christian Benford even.
All right, well, let's go to 2023. Touchdown in Tulsa, waiting to deep lane.
Very nice, sir. Cool. Awesome.
There we go. 2023. Dalton Kincaid, Osiris Torrance. The first two right there. Fantastic. Dalton Kincaid, we talked about that prior to the draft, that we needed some weapons for Josh. We needed weapons. Boom. We got one. I know you were big on Zay, but he was taken by the Ravens, and I was happy with Kincaid. I mean, you and I kind of predicted that we're like, the Bills don't really use the tight ends as much as we want, but he got near 100 targets, broke the record for the Buffalo Bills as far as receptions from a tight end, broke Pete Metzler's record. Turned out to be probably even more than I thought for his first year, what he did in his first year. I think you and I were expecting maybe 65, 70 targets at the most. And then Osiris Torrance. I mean, great pick. And we were all, it's still funny. If you look back at it, when we went live on draft night, we all wanted Osiris, right, in the first round. We wanted an O lineman. And then they take Kincaid, and we're like, he was not on our radar, Jake. I don't know how he was not on any of our radars.
Right.
But they pick him. We're like, who? What? And then we're all a little upset. And then, of course, they get Torrance in the second round. Dorian Williams, still TBD. I know you love the young kid, and he made some very small sample rate. Towards the end of the year when he played, I thought he looked much better than earlier in the year. Justin Shorter, to be determined, was on our IR all year. Big wide receiver. I think he's like 6'4", 220, big guy. And I'm very optimistic of what he can bring. And then Nick Broker and Alex Austin. So your thoughts?
Alex Austin, by the way, gets an interception in that last game against second last game against the Bills, which is kind of like a chef's kiss for him. But pretty interesting.
Yeah. So Bills released both Broker, and he was claimed by the Texans, and then Austin was claimed by the Patriots. But your thoughts on this draft, Jake?
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid was fantastic. I mean, I knew who he was going into the draft process, but I didn't have tight end as one of our top priorities. But I understood why they took him, and it was very evident this year. That dude moves so well. Everyone's saying he's going to be the next Travis Kelce, actually, Chad. So, if he's even a shell of Travis Kelce, I'd be very happy with that. I think this year he proved a lot of these naysayers wrong, saying that he wasn't going to be, utilized in the offense. I mean, the dude caught 73 passes. He set the rookie record. Then he also broke Pete Metzler's record for the Bills. So pretty damn impressive year. The dude moves extremely well, runs great routes, catches everything you throw to him. And he's not afraid to get physical either. So I love to see that. Huge fan of Dalton Kincaid. Osiris Torrance, what a hit, man. You talk about an Ironman. Dude literally played every single snap this year for the Bills offense. So that was just a fantastic hit, especially at pick 59, where we didn't think he'd even be available at the end of the first round. So pretty amazing job there. Dorian Williams, I think it's going to take some time. coming from Tulane, they ran a totally different scheme than what the Bills are running. It takes some time for a linebacker, especially a guy that is a play caller as well, to learn this defense. And he plays fast, man. There's no doubt about that. You could see it a little bit. He runs sideline to sideline. I really like the kid a lot, but he's raw right now. So I'm going to give that another year for him. Can't really make up my mind totally just yet because we have very limited reps with him still, even so. And then Justin Shorter, same deal. I mean, he didn't play at all this year. So I'm excited about the chance of him competing in the offseason here. This dude was the number 1 receiver in the 2020 recruiting class. He was above guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and there's someone else was in that class too. Trying to think. Nonetheless, he goes to Penn State, then he goes to Florida. He has some hamstring injuries, and obviously it affected him this year too with the hamstring injury. But excited about the prospect in him too.
Yeah, we have Tyrell Shavers on the practice squad as well. So I'm excited about these big receivers because that's the thing. Other than Gabe, we just don't have big physical receivers, and it's going to be nice to get some of those in our offense. By the way, Chad, we need to find the next Travis Kelce. So what you're saying, I don't know. That man's found the fountain of youth. I don't know if he's ever going to get old. And for whatever reason, tight ends do play pretty long in their career. They go for, when you think of all the great ones, Tony Gonzalez, Gronkowski. I don't know where's Kelce? What year is he in, Jake? Can you look that up?
This is so he was drafted in 2013. This is his 12th year in the league.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he's
11th year in the league.
Looking just as good as he ever has in this playoff season. So but I understand what you're saying there. You're gonna definitely need to start looking into that. Get somebody that you can bring on, and Kelce, he can learn from Kelce. That'd be perfect situation to learn from the best. Let's see.
Yeah, definitely.
Checker viewer saying, I still think we should draft Johnny Wilson from Florida State. Do you know anything about Johnny Wilson? What can you tell us about him?
He's huge. He's like 6'5", 239 pounds, Mike, and guy's a freak of nature. Yeah, that would be pretty sweet, Trek reviewer. I would love that myself.
Is he fast? He got speed?
Yeah, he's fast as hell. I will say this. I think a more pro-ready guy. So here's the difference. I think with Johnny Wilson, he's got the frame. He's got the stature. I feel like Keon Coleman is actually more pro-ready than he is, his teammate. I feel like he's just got that, like, NFL. He's more NFL ready with his route running and all that stuff. Like, Johnny Wilson is a physical specimen, and I think he will have success in the league. But I feel like Keon Coleman has the ability to run any route in the route tree, and he's just more polished, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Who would you comp him to?
Keon Coleman or Johnny Wilson?
Johnny Wilson.
Man.
When you say that size, I think of like
Calvin Johnson.
Williams. Mike Williams, Calvin Johnson. Is he speedster though? Is he like Antoine?
Yeah, he runs like 4.4, 4.5.
Okay.
Johnny Wilson. Yeah, I mean he can move. There's no doubt. Actually, I know there was talk of even maybe moving him to. Yeah, there you go. 6'7". Holy shit! I thought he was 6'5". Oh my god.
All right, Tracker V, you sold me. I mean, shoot, just get over 6 feet. I'm excited. 6'7".
There was talk on whether to even move him to tight end at one point. I know that.
6'7". The only thing that scares me is going down for those low passes, right? Trying to get low enough to make a catch off the ground.
Sure.
But it'll be interesting. Yeah, when we start looking into the draft and where these players are ranked and where the Bills are picking, and the Bills have a lot of draft picks. I'm hoping they make Beane does some magic with a couple nice trade ups.
And it's crazy because, the other guy, Keon Coleman, who I mentioned, Mike, he's got great size too. He's 6'4", 215 himself. So
wow,
you can't go wrong. And like I said, I feel like he's actually more polished than Johnny Wilson. I feel like his body, he moves a little bit better in and out of his breaks and cuts. And now, I'm all about it.
Are you thinking these guys are first rounders?
Keon Coleman definitely is, without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about Johnny Wilson?
I don't actually know where they have him graded out right now, Johnny Wilson. I'm curious to see.
Check review. Where do you see Johnny Wilson going? Is he a first rounder, second rounder,
They're saying third round right now.
third round? Okay, then there you go.
Yeah.
If we can get him in a second round, late second or third,
Yeah. Why
definitely.
not?
We're
I
gonna
say you
have.
go receiver, safety, receiver. How about that? We can get 2 teammates right there.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so let's finish out grading the 2023 draft, and let's talk about a few needs that we have that we would like to see taken care of in free agent and the draft. We're not going to go into players. We're just going to talk position groups. But let's grade out the 2023 draft and move on.
I think you got to give this a B plus. These are guys that overperformed. Your first 2 picks right there, Dalton Kincaid and Osiris Torrance. I think they totally fit the bill. So B plus for me.
Yeah, anytime you can have first year starters, Jake, and with your first and second round, which I guess you would kind of expect in today's game that you want these guys. Yeah, I think that was a complete hit. 3 through 7, I don't know.
I know.
Still
Kinda
big question marks.
right? Yeah.
So you gave that a B?
I think B. B is
Okay.
probably right.
All right. All right. So let's talk about, and Checker V, you're going to love this, but let's talk about needs. You kind of mentioned already, but again, we're not going to go if you want to throw some players out, but we have the free agency coming up. I believe that's March 15th, right around there. And then we got the draft in April, and we'll set our sights on free agency to kind of see who's going to be out there. But talk to me, Jake, about your needs for this Buffalo Bills team going into 2024. Man.
Well, I definitely think receiver. That's the most glaring need. I would say safety, and then maybe another nose tackle, defensive tackle, someone that can play there. We only have one guy under contract going into this offseason at Oliver. So I would love to bring back DaQuan Jones if that's possible. But if not, maybe we look to get younger. We're going to have to do cheap labor, unfortunately, just because of the cap room situation here in Buffalo. So a guy like Mason Smith would make sense too, drafting him out of LSU. I think that'd be pretty sweet. Dude's 6'6", 315. He's athletic. I think he would be a really nice fit in our scheme.
What positions does he play?
Defensive tackle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's a guy maybe you target in the second or third round. I mentioned safety as well. That's definitely another need. But I think you go receiver. Honestly, Mike, if it's me, I'm going receiver, safety, and then either wide receiver or D tackle there in the third round.
Yeah. So for me, I have, in no particular order right now, I have wide receiver, like you said. I have safety. Safety's big one. Big one. I mean, what's the guy's name? Is it Kyle Hamilton for the Ravens?
6'4". It's a cheat code.
I don't know how I've never seen that guy play, that kid. I guess because I do watch Ravens games, but not to the degree that I watch a Bills game, and I don't know the players that well. But what is he? 6'4", 220. What a stud! I mean, damn, great player. Just another reason why I'm still shocked that they lost that game. And he going against Kelsey, I think he had not given up a touchdown, is what they said on the broadcast to any tight end during the season. And of course, you go against the best. He was on him, Kelsey and Mahomes. That was just a great play by them. They underthrew him just a little bit. He was able to come back, but he was all over him. Safety was all over
impressive.
him.
Yeah.
So I have safety as well. I'm concerned. I mean, do you see a world where Hyde or Poyer are back? Any of them? I think we're moving on, but
I think Jordan Poyer might come back. I don't know if he's ready to retire just yet. I think Micah Hyde is definitely gone. Amanda Hyde comes out with that letter, but I have a feeling they may keep Jordan Poyer on this roster.
If Poyer does come back, though, you see him starting?
I do. Yeah, if he's on the roster, he's definitely going to be a start. So it'll be him and then X. Whether that's Taylor Rapp or a rookie, I don't know. Yeah.
Off the top of your head, can you think of any nice, big, studly safeties out there?
I haven't really started watching tape on safeties yet, so I'm not at will to say that.
What about you, Trek Reviewer? I know you've already done your draft research. Safety, who's out there, Trek Reviewer? And what about you, Chad? Any safeties you're aware of in college that you're like, this is a guy you should go after?
I've definitely done a lot of research on some of the first round receivers.
Yeah.
And my guy Xavier Leggett, let me tell you, I am gaga about him. I love Keon Coleman and I love Xavier Leggett. Those are my two guys in the first round that I would love to take as a receiver. Trek reviewer talking about the Tavondre Sweat from Texas. You talk about a mammoth human being, 6'4", 362, Mike. Huge, huge defensive tackle out of Texas. 6'4", 362. That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I agree
Yeah.
with you. I also said interior D line. I mean, like you said, we only have one under contract. That's Oliver. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, got to get somebody. The interior. I mean, when you got Linville Joseph, look, he played more snaps than I think he should have. We were desperate. We brought him off the couch, and to his credit, I mean, but I was seeing him on his backside way too much during the first game he came out. It looked pretty promising, but I was seeing him on his backside towards the end in the playoffs, and then Settle. I'm glad. I think we're out of his contract. He was 2-year. We paid him a lot of money. I think it was $10 million. I'm glad to move on with him. I had a lot of promise from him. I heard from Washington fans that you guys got a great deal because he hadn't gotten a lot of play in Washington because they all have they had first round starters on their D-line.
Every single one of those guys was a first rounder. Crazy.
So he was a letdown. I don't know what happened with Poona Ford. I mean, Jake, you tried to sell me on him, and that just panned out. You've tried to sell me a couple times on some things, and
I know.
I want my money. I want my money back, man. Can I get a refund? How long do you take refunds for? So interior D-line, I'm definitely all over that. And for me, Jake, linebacker. You know, Dotson is a free agent, unrestricted free agent. I think for him, being a contract year, man, did he just get a payday. I mean, if he hadn't done what he done, he probably wasn't going to get much. He'd probably be re-signed for next to nothing. But now, you know, he's going to command a little bit of money. But I still think linebacker. I think Bernard, as we saw, fantastic year, unbelievable. He was a little bit on the smaller side, but he stayed healthy until he didn't, and we missed him in the biggest game of the year against the Chiefs. Dotson also was banged up towards the end of the year. That shoulder caused him to miss a few games. I think we need some depth there, Jake. So I'm looking for a linebacker again.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I still have faith in Dorian Williams, as you know. But yeah, I mean, you talk about guys that are probably leaving. Maybe Tyrell Dotson isn't a Buffalo Bill next year, so you got to fill his void. And then Tyler Matakevich, I mean, he's a special teams guy. You know, Balin Spector, he's already we've seen he's a little injury prone, even though I love the kid. I think we do have some good depth right now, but I wouldn't be opposed to adding another guy.
Yeah, I mean, we have depth pieces, but they're no one that like excite you. Like, this guy's a game changer. Like, right? I'm going to look at some bigger linebackers, Jake. Not necessarily in the early rounds, but I think we can find somebody, you know, in that.
Just a raw, like, physical freak. That'd be fun.
Physical specimen who's not totally raw. I want him to be able to come in and play. Look, Jack Campbell was a first-round pick by Detroit this year, and he didn't get the start. He didn't win out in camp, but towards the end of the year, he started playing. Big physical guy, and I think he's off to a good career. But yeah, I like those. You know me, I like those bigger because they help with the run stop. And we got run on a little bit, especially with Pacheco in that KC game. And got to fix that up. So lots of stuff. I'm excited to see what's coming down the pipe. For those out in the channel, we appreciate all of you joining us tonight. It was a lot of fun, just kind of looking back at how the McDermott and Beane, the draft era, has gone. Again, if you're watching this now or you're rewatching this, put in the comments like what you thought on each of those years that we went through, how you graded them. Love to hear that. And Jake and I will be back Wednesday night for our next show. We are a little bit late, so we apologize. The graphic says 9 p.m. Damn it, we should be on at 9 p.m. But no, not today, because we have a football game, and obviously nobody would have been out there joining us because that was a damn good game. That's game, right, Jay. So we'll see. I don't know what the topic will be Wednesday, but on the rush hour, you just never know. Just never know. Thanks, Chad. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man.
Get home safe. Thank you. Hope to see you Wednesday. And let's see. What did Trek reviewers say here? Not on safeties because I think the Bills might go bargain shopping like they did with Hyde and
Okay.
Poyer.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see. So, all right, everyone. Jake, any final thoughts, my friend?
Well, I am going to be rooting for the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I could tell you that. But Chad, again, you guys, I don't know how the hell you do it. It's pretty incredible. The Chiefs they are a machine, and very impressed with their performance today. And that is going to be a fun matchup for sure. So love to see it, man. And
I'm sticking with
congratulations.
I'm sticking with what I said, Jake. I said whoever won out of the AFC between the Ravens and the Chiefs will be your Super Bowl champs, and I'm not gonna go away from
Not
that.
going to back off. I like it, Mike.
Go with that. We've seen. I mean, to me, you got the Niners. They barely beat the Packers, who just got hot at the right time. The Packers, man, up and down season, looked like they were making a run. Then they lose a couple, then they make that run, and they're hot. And they were one stop away from winning that game against the Niners. And then today, you saw what Detroit does. And now, I don't think Kansas City has the offensive weapons that Detroit has, but that O-line that KC has, that defense
incredible,
is much better than what Detroit has. I think they're going to be your Super Bowl winner. I'm calling it now.
I will say this. At least if they do win the Super Bowl, we can at least take solace in knowing that no other AFC team beat them.
Exactly.
So it doesn't look as bad. Like, I'm not saying that it was a bad loss by us, but like, you know what I mean? Like, makes me feel a little bit better if you could have a moral victory, if that's even possible.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a hell of a football team. Plain and simple.
They really are. It took Andy Reid many years kind of crafting. He's always been a great offensive mind, so close so many times, but then finally this guy Mahomes comes around and they just gel, and now they are that next Patriot team. Just like you always got to get past them. You can never overlook them. So good luck, Chad. I'm sure they're going to represent well. That's in 2 weeks. I think they're having a 2-week pause, right, for the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah, love it. 1.5 dogs, surprising.
Wow, keep calling them underdogs because they thrive on it. I mean, it is just more fuel to the fire. They might end up winning this game by double digits. Who knows? I'm gonna
report this on Wednesday. I'm gonna look at hotel prices. I think it would be so fun to be in Vegas, and I'm a 4.5 hour drive. I would drive that. I've driven it before. It might be fun. I'm gonna see if we can get a hotel anywhere near, which would be just a blast.
That would be pretty sweet. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you soon. Appreciate all of you out there joining us tonight. Chad, Tracker Viewer, everyone else. Zach just comes in, throws out a comment. Got to get rid of McDermott. He's one podcast off. Like Wednesday was his time.
I know, right?
We talked about all that. I did want to ask you real quick. Because I asked you last week and I don't think you heard me. What is Ian's take and what is Big Al's take on Mr. McDermott?
I think my dad is definitely in line with getting rid of Sean McDermott. Ian, I actually didn't really talk to him too much about that. I am curious to see what he has to say, though. We'll have to get him on a show.
I feel like Ian will be like Timmy.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
my dad also. My dad chimed in the comments. He's like, fire McDermott.
Yeah.
I'm like, would you have fired Marv? He's like,
I saw that.
That's a joke that you're asking me. He was getting a little heated with me.
Yeah, he was.
And then I took it to the phone, and we got on a phone call, and we just hammered it out.
I mean, it's a great comparison, great questions. So
yeah,
he's gonna fire Sean McDermott. He wouldn't fire Marv Levy. Yeah, wow.
I guess going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl gets you a pass because John Harbaugh won one in 2012.
Right.
And so I think it gets you a pass, and you look at all these other great ones that we talked about on Wednesday. Anyhow, we can go on and on about that Wednesday show. I thought it was fun, and I feel like it was an unfinished discussion because we could have went on for another 1 or 2
Agreed.
hours. But
yes.
Anyhow, I'll see you Wednesday, Jake. Good night, everybody.
Sounds good. Go Bills.
Go Bills.